appearance is the only way that a proceeding can be performed against you. But did you know there's something called a default judgment? The part that this dictionary will not tell you is that in order for a default judgment to occur, once the summons is not successful, the plaintiff can go back and say, hey, allow me to do a summons by publication. Once they do a summons by publication, even if you don't answer, you're fucked. Unless you know how to do certain things on the inside. Here goes the sequence of how most court cases occur. Someone files the initiating documents, depending on whatever the particular subject matter is, whether it's at law, chancery, or wherever else. Following that initial document is a necessity to do a joint of party. This is done through a summons. Initially, there are many other means to do a joint of party, such as substitute service or publication, which we've went over in the first patron meeting.
Well, what if the worst case scenario comes and they can't be served? Well, this is how you serve them through the newspaper. You first have to show the acting judge that you've done your due diligence and you've attempted to serve them to no avail. And then you move as a notice to tell them this is what's going to happen. And then the main reason why you have to first do this motion for publication of notice, rather than just going ahead and doing it anyway, is to update the status so that the acting judge does not just close the case after a 90-day period, because that's how monies work. And that case number is a bank account. So you have to basically put a notice say, hey, look, I've been trying to join this party to this case so-and-so, and this is what's going on. Almost like a status report, but it's not really a status report. And the second reason you do this motion is because depending on the venue, the geographical limits of that courthouse, there's a specific type of newspaper that contract with that courthouse for the purpose of service of publication. In some counties and in some federal district, that's not the case. You can use any newspaper publication, but it's best to use the defendant's county. So if you know the county of the defendant, you use any newspaper in the defendant's county to publish it.
Or alias summons if the first few summons were unsuccessful, or other methods which will require the leave of court. Ultimately, the concept of joint of party has the purpose of causing appearance, because appearance is the end goal of joinder of party. The purpose of appearance is the submission to the jurisdiction of a particular venue. Most of you watching this on Patreon are aware of the difference between venue and jurisdiction. Likewise, the similarities. Appearance, nonetheless, is the ultimate goal, because there are maxims that states that an error in the name is cured by the presence of the body. Presence of the body is relating to appearance. There are different types of appearance. Most of us have heard of special appearances, whereby they tell you special appearances for the purpose of entertaining certain things without submitting to the jurisdiction of a particular venue. Juris, as we should know at this point, just means law. Diction means words, meaning the combination of words used to evoke certain cause of action and certain relief. Jurisdiction. Venue being the geographical bound to which any type of so-called courthouse says they do business at. That's your short definition of venue and jurisdiction, to which appearance render submits jurisdiction to the venue. So most of us have heard of special appearance, even though the introduction that most of us have to special appearance being the ability to stipulate certain things without rendering or submitting personal jurisdiction is limited. But that's not what we're speaking of here. We're not here to show the detriments, the loopholes, or the benefit of that. We're here at the basics first. The basic being the other type of appearance called general appearance. How can we go into special appearance if we don't know what general appearance is? Most who refer to special appearances cannot articulate the simplicity of general appearance. And if you don't know what general appearance is, special appearance will be of no use to you beyond what someone else merely just tells you in a short post. That sounds like the least path of resistance for you to take without you examining, searching, re-examining, and researching the validity of what you've been told. So let's start from the basics. We'll start from reading the black and white from Bouvier's, and we'll go to res judicata when it comes to how jurisdiction is submitted to the court. Most of us have heard of it. Most of us have heard many people speak about it just with loose words in the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a video. But let's hone in on it. Competence is the key to anything in life. This freedom we all seek is fleeting and elusive until competence becomes a norm in our lives. We don't want to repeat the same thing that the older generations have done. And they got old and they got stuck in that rut, and it became harder for them to change. What is that thing? The appearance of things. They got stuck in the appearance of things, and the younger generations inherited it. So let's speak of appearance, but this time in the form of competence and submission of jurisdiction in this pen and paper that most people, whether they like it or not, whether they want it or not, have been, currently are, and probably at some point in the future, if it's not them, someone close to them, will be involved in this pen and paper that act as invisible chains that control most people's lives. And when you are embedded into these activities, whether you're pulled into it voluntarily by your creation or prediction or otherwise, competence is the key that would always free you. So let's get to it. Appearance, Bouvier's page 150 of the actual document, but the PDF is 179. In practice, a coming into court as party to a suit. It's not specifying what type of jurisdiction the suit is placed in. It is just letting you know appearance is how someone is entered or introduced into the acting judge and whatever it is they have going on. Because remember, in other videos, we've clarified that court just means the acting judge. And if you read legal documents enough to the point where smoke starts coming out of your hair, you will realize, oh, the court is referring to the acting judge, not the physical venue. The physical venue is called the courthouse. The court is referring to the acting judge. A coming into court as party to a suit. And this coming into court has to do with which capacity, aka what party you are. Are you the plaintiff? Are you the defendant? Whether you're the plaintiff will determine your relationship of how you enter into court, whether you're the master of the complaint or otherwise, which is the defendant. Once more, a coming into court as a party to a suit, whether as a plaintiff or a defendant. The form of proceeding by which a defendant submit himself to the jurisdiction of the court. So now you see that the concept of submission of jurisdiction into a venue or the one who acts as a neutral third party is solely restricted to when you are a defendant. Most people who speak about you only do special appearance, you don't have jurisdiction over me, only function based on a defendant's state of mind, a state of mind of depravity. No different than you will catch a conversation between two employees when they talk about how much hours they've pulled or whatever it is that they make that they think is special. That's the same thing people do when it comes to this issue of court and pen and paper. They strictly speak from the position of defendant, valiantly, the expectation that they are a victim, valiantly, happily, as though that is the limits of the world of pen and paper. I just can't help but shake my head. If only they knew the vast world that exists that benefits them. So the concept of submission to a jurisdiction is based on the confines of you defending yourself, you being a defendant. It tells you here through the perspective of either plaintiff or defendant, and then specifies that whenever you are facing the issue of submitting to a jurisdiction, it's only applicable to a defendant. Now let's zoom this in a bit more. It goes on to say, appearance anciently meant an actual coming into court, either in person or by attorney. So you now see that the concept of appearance is based on the presence of the body. Hence, the earlier mentioned maxims of presence of the body cures an error in the name. Or by a representative. And that is done anciently. So when people start telling you do special appearance on a piece of paper and that does not render jurisdiction, are you starting to see that that is not even observed at all? Because the concept of appearance itself is how you render jurisdiction. And the concept of person and body that we are speaking of here in today's world, compared to the ancient time, in today's world, is done on piece of paper, aka submission of jurisdiction is done on a piece of paper. Anciently, it only applies physically. In today's world, where commerce is inevitably the first front rather than the territory or the second front, as it used to be in the ancient world, but in today's world, it's the first front. And to simultaneously affirm the fact that you're not even involved in it. I don't think this would ever dawn on people until a few years from now. Because when people are so invested and focused on something else that they're emotionally attached to, and there's this social element among humans. I've mentioned this in the video in the past. It's like religion. Most people really don't believe in the stuff in a religion. And most people really don't even know the source or the substance of it. But they do it because it's just a social thing that is generally accepted. No different than a child that joins a gang. It's a social thing. That's the same thing people are doing with pen and paper with this social media thing. It's a social impulse thing. Humans are three things. First, we are spiritual beings. This is why we have intuition and impulses to realize this is good or this is bad. But the second thing humans are hinders that first part, which is the spiritual portion. And the second part that kills the first part is the social element. Peer pressure. It will kill your ability to have that intuitive insight to listen to that first silent voice. It's always so very silent and it kind of fades away very quick. You have to grasp it, almost like trying to catch smoke in the middle of the air. It's so silent. The more you heed it and accept it, the more it comes often. The less you accept it based on social acceptance of what you want or you think is comfortable because, well, other people are doing this, so therefore it must be fine. They're all jumping over the hill, therefore it must be fine too. Let me show you something. This right here. That's what most people do when it comes to the second aspect of what it means to be a human being. We are social creatures. We're spiritual creatures first, then we're social creatures, And third, we are a combination of every experience we've ever had in life. In other words, those first two elements can be affected by the third elements, just as much as the second essence can affect the first. The more closer you get to the first, the more substantive it becomes. After us being the core, which is the spiritual essence, followed by the social element of what we are as social creatures, followed by the accumulation and a bundle of experience that we are. That's the reason why you see the cutest man or the cutest female, no matter how cute or handsome or beautiful they are, start listening to the words that come out of their mouth and start seeing how they live their life. You realize they are as damaged as you can get. Whatever you found attractive based on what they look like means nothing compared to the trash that exists in their mind. To you in the definition of what appearance is. It must not be you. These people did it, and where they failed is that they raised issue of jurisdiction in their special appearance themselves, and they are a party to the case. That's the reason why they failed. Let's go to another res judicata. This time we'll go to State Bank of Lake Zurich versus Phil. This is also at Illinois. This time the Supreme Court rather than the appeal. So what is really going on in this case? Well, let's take a look at it. Remember I told you earlier that there are stages to how a case occurs. File the initiating document, then you issue a summons after the clerk puts their seal on it. Then once it's been served, you do a return of service that, hey, it's been served successfully. At that point, the other party is screwed. So let's see what's going on here. Let's go to the court. It is the intervener's position that a judgment of foreclosure and sale is not subject to collateral attack. They contended that whereas here the right of innocent third-party purchasers have attached a judgment cannot be collaterally attacked, even for alleged jurisdiction defects. Under those defects appear in the record. They argue that the failure to properly execute the affidavit showing substituted personal service was not a defect in their.
Hey, I'm inviting you to come join the patron page. Not only do you get access to documents, posts, and videos that you will never find on any other platforms, you also get instant access to webinars that otherwise will cost far more. And we speak of things that usually we would not be able to speak of on any other platforms far more freely. On top of that, you get the opportunity to send me monthly questions along with everyone else's questions, so you can see other people going through similar circumstances. You never know. What you think might be a stupid question is quite often very valid. On top of that, you get access to monthly question and answer archives from several years back from people who have gone through it and people who are going through it. Get information regarding things you experience daily that you didn't even know you could take advantage of when it comes to business, work, or other personal things. There's a community of people where you can bounce information off of, and they can give you some tips and tricks based on what they're currently going through in their respective venues that you might maybe want to link up with. And there's a high likelihood you're not going to find them anywhere else. And you also get the access to directly send me messages. Oh, and also if you are a tier 4 member, you get access to yet another monthly meeting where we actually answer as much questions as we can, and we're between an hour and a half, and in some cases up to 4 hours. In addition to that, we also show some exclusive lessons that are not going to be posted on Patreon or anywhere else but the tier 4 meeting alone. So come forth, come join the 500 plus people already on Patreon. And in some cases, we even give certain things out. And while you're at it, you might want to check out the store, subtlesubstanceservices.com. There might be a few things you want to pick up in there.